Hi guys and welcome back to Lex Alexas. We are back with the Championship Transfer Show on Transfer Tuesday. It's our 5th episode now. We've got lots to go through, some managerial developments, some very eye-catching moves that have happened this past week, and some very interesting rumours as well, with varying levels of credibility, I find. If you guys continually enjoy this series, please smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel. Just a note, I will be going on holiday next week. So I'm going to try and find a way to pack the channel with some content while I'm away. And I think I'm going to try and squeeze one more transfer show before I go away as well. But just thought I'd let you know, just in case this channel wasn't quiet enough as it was. So thank you guys as always for this terrific support. Liking the channel really helps. If we can get to 30 likes, that'd be amazing. If you can hit the subscribe button, that also really helps as we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers. Here's a couple more of you who have recently subscribed to the channel. I've picked 3 this time since these are 3 brand new subscribers who have subscribed very recently. Shout outs go to Oliver Lee, In For A Penny, and Sam Parrish. If you guys subscribe to the channel, that could very well be your names next video. Each subscription really doesn't go unnoticed and it really does tremendously help. And if you could also share the channel too, that also helps too. But without any further ado, let's cover the madness that has happened in the Championship this past week. So, I think the place to start is the managerial developments. I mean, where do we start? So, let's talk about Leicester City, because they still do not have a permanent manager. I thought they were going to announce a permanent manager by this time, but they haven't. But the manager that they're looking like that they're going to turn to now is Martí Cifuentes. The first time I've actually mentioned his name like in full flow within this series. Really has been one that's just snuck in there, and it does feel to me that Cifuentes is committed to taking this Leicester job and is actually willing to pay, I believe, was it up to 700,000 in compensation to for Queen's Park Rangers to actually get to this managerial position. I mean, his time at QPR started well, then ended up being a little bit messy after being placed on gardening leave after rumours of his managerial team speaking to West Brom. In the end, it didn't look like West Brom were even considering Cifuentes in the end, and lo and behold, he's found himself in this pretty awkward position. But if he gets his role, I think it's a very interesting role for him. It's one that doesn't necessarily give me the security that Leicester are going to, attack the Championship, and it's going to be a very tough job for him if, varying the levels of whatever point deduction Leicester could get. It could be a pretty difficult role for him, but if anyone can, who has proven he can do well in the Championship, Cifuentes certainly has proven that. So I think that's going to be a very interesting bit of developments to see how that goes on. Knowing my luck, he'll probably be announced at some point during this video. And then for Sheffield Wednesday's point of view, so lots of news and coverage has been put on Sheffield Wednesday, which is good. I think it does help that the media and the wider football fans are aware of the issues that Sheffield Wednesday are having with their cash flow problems. Now, by the sounds of it, it seems to me that some of the debts have now been paid, which is good, but the fact we still have some outstanding debtors there is not a good sign whatsoever. And you just have to roll forward an additional amount of debts for this month, and essentially when you do have those debts crawl over, you do find yourselves into some really financial and legal difficulties here. With this position, we do have confirmation that I believe there is some interest of consortiums. We have one in Monaco, a couple in America interested of taking over Sheffield Wednesday, and Shinsiri seemingly is trying to get a more realistic sell in place. He seemed pretty stubborn about the sale price and very unrealistic on what it was going to be for Sheffield Wednesday. I feel like now with very little money going through, unless he does sell some first team players for some big bucks, but at this moment of time, the main players are really tied down to very little to no months on their contract left, so they'll be going out for little value on a free. And quite honestly, it's going to be very difficult for Sheffield Wednesday to raise money that way, I feel. So I think the best case for them is if Chansiri does really increase control and you get a consortium in that can at least repay the debts and can start building from the foundations up. But a bit of positive news is that it looks like Danny Rowe is going to stay on. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday fans and football fans, what do you think of that in the comments down below? Now, it does feel to me, with how long Danny Rowe's been absent from the squad, I feel like some players are probably not going to respond to him as well as they have done in the previous 2 seasons. Didn't really show a level of loyalty we probably were wanting to see for a long part of that. But part of it is probably down to frustration with the ownership. And it's interesting to me that he's actually still feeling he can commit to the club if a new takeover does happen at this club. So I feel like, to me, we've seen the talent of Danny Rowe, and whilst I feel some fans have lost respect for him, I think based on his ability, I think you still have to keep him on at this moment of time, just for the sheer ability and tactical nous that he has for championship levels. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. A bit of a soap opera, really, this, but we'll have to see what happens regarding the ownership, and that's really going to dictate how things run as well. In more recent news, we've had concerns of Hull City. They've been placed on a transfer embargo as well, and Iluki just looks like at this moment of time is not being made very popular. He had a conference that he was talking about on the 30th of June about the company not having cash flow problems, and then we figure out later on, due to unpaid debts of a significant amount of money, a transfer embargo has been put in place for Hull City. So does this give rise a concern of cash flow issues too? It probably does, make sense in that point of view. If they have been spending lots, which they did actually, especially in the senior season, to try and get them promoted, and then naturally they're not getting the results that they wanted. I mean, Hull only just survived to the championship last season. Naturally, if they're going to be underperforming their targets, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get cash in unless there's contingencies. And what I'm seeing here is these owners are making really, really bold business decisions, but they're not backing it up for the security of this club, almost treating it like a business. That, I've got a million other businesses. If this goes down, that's fine. I can still get paid by my other businesses. But I think we need to get rid of the idea that football's a business. It is a way of life, and I think these owners are quite out of touch of that, which does give me a little bit of a concern with a new influx of owners coming in, kind of looking at this as more of a business strategy rather than a strategy of giving something back to a local community. So again, this will be a situation I'll be keeping my eyes on very, very slowly to see if anything does happen with that. So, waffled on a little bit in terms of the managerial and other major bits of news. Let's actually talk some transfers now and some recent ingoings and outgoings. Birmingham, we spoke about them a lot last week. Only the one outgoing in this week, which is Emmanuel Longello. He has moved permanently to join Motherwell, left back in that position there. Blackburn have been quite active. They got Ryan Aliosu in. I believe that is their second or their third transfer that Blackburn have got in. And what's interesting as well, Dion De Neve is actually from the same club as Ryan Aliosu. So two acquisitions from the Belgium club, KV Kotvik, I think is how you say it. So interesting stuff. And Aliosu actually operating more on the right hand side. He's a right back. So interesting that Blackburn are going into the Belgian market to improve their squad at this moment. For Bristol City, they've had two outgoings. One we knew about for a while, Naki Wells, but we actually know where he's gone now. He has joined Luton Town. And I actually think that's a really good acquisition for Luton to get someone of a quality of Naki Wells in League One. I think could do some serious damage. So good transfer business from Luton Town. They're clearly making an attempt that they want to get back up into the Championship. And the other outgoing for Bristol City was Ayman Benarous, but also to a League One team in Plymouth Argyle. So clearly Plymouth and Luton did not like getting relegated and they want to go straight back up. I think Lucky Wells excites me a little bit more for Benarous, to be honest, but I could see Benarous being a little bit more of a long-term option. Lucky Wells will be within his 30s at the moment. So certainly Luton have got a profit on the last couple of years that they've got of him. But certainly if the task is to get him out of League One, I think that's a really smart bit of business from Luton Town there. Charlton, once again, are really proving to be quite active in this transfer window. They've now made 5 to 6 signings now. Reece Burke from Luton Town, that is another player reuniting from Luton to Nathan Jones in Charlton. I think that's 3 former players from Luton Town joining now. And one that's really interesting to me, Joe Rankin Costello. So it shocked me to know how long he spent at Blackburn. He spent at Blackburn since the age of 14, I believe, and spent 11 years there. And this is his first move away from that to join Charlton. Honestly, if he's injury free, very good player. So I'm quite excited to see how Charlton deal with him. I'm really liking their business. Quite savvy moves, which I'm liking. We were just speaking about Hull City, about their transfer embargo and their potential cash flow problems with their ownership. But they have had an outgoing as well. Marvin Melem, he has left the centre attacking midfielder, has joined Arminia Bielefeld in the Bundesliga. Ipswich, I spoke about them about David Button. I kind of made a bit of a joke that this was the only transfer they got. But they meant business this past 2 days. So they got 2 transfers in. First one, that's kind of a bit of a safe transfer, Cedric Kipre, who's had experience with Wigan and West Brom in the Championship. They've managed to get him on a loan transfer from Stade de Reims in France. So quite an interesting transfer in that point of view. Experience, and obviously after losing Cameron Burgess, it was apparent that they get someone in of a similar quality, or at least with a Championship experience in that position. And then another French League acquisition, and this was quite an exciting one actually, Azor Matusiwa. The 27-year-old defensive midfielder from Rennes has joined on an undisclosed fee. I mean, reported to be around 10 million. So this would be a pretty big statement signing for Ipswich Town. And certainly in that position, the midfielder position, there's going to be so many people leaving. You've got Calvin Phillips, Kajus leaving, Luongo's left on a free transfer as well. I'm sure there's others as well. So midfield is a very important area for Ipswich because they're running quite light on that area. And certainly for a defensive midfielder, he could fill in that Kajus position there. And I think that's a decent bit of business from Ipswich. So they were a bit slow on the transfers, but those 2 transfers to me have now actually given me a little bit more confidence that Ipswich are trying to go for it now. But their neighbours Norwich are definitely not giving up without a fight either. They got a striker in Matthias Kistgarden, I think is how you say his name. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation there. But he has joined from the Danish league, Brøndby EF, an undisclosed fee. Pretty young as well, quite tall from what I remember as well. An exciting move again. I really do think Norwich have picked some very savvy moves, and I'm quite excited to see how they are all going to gel. But unfortunately, it was inevitable. Borja Sainz has officially left Norwich, and he has joined Porto for a fee reported to be around 13 million euros. That will raise some really big money. If it's going to be anything similar to what they got from Jonathan Rowe, I think that's going to really help the cash flow for Norwich City, and could even encourage them to try and think of getting some more ambitious moves in their area. But I truly think now that they have addressed the back line with a load of new players, their midfield is already pretty strong. I mean, it's going to be lacking, Borja Sainz now, so potentially someone looking for a winger or someone more in that midfield position as well might be needed for Norwich's point of view. But I'm certainly liking how things are going at the moment. But for outgoing's point of view, I'll be very shocked if Josh Sargent doesn't get a move elsewhere either, because he will be spoken about in my rumours section very soon. Oxford, they've got another new ingoing in, Brody Spencer. He has joined from Huddersfield on an undisclosed fee. Don't know too much about him, but it's Oxford's second transfer, and I'm glad that Oxford are now starting to tighten their grip and showing intent to try and improve their squad. Oxford, they've got another new ingoing in, Brody Spencer. He has joined from Huddersfield on an undisclosed fee. Don't know too much about him, but it's Oxford's second transfer, and I'm glad that Oxford are now starting to tighten their grip and showing intent to try and improve their squad. From Preston's point of view, a bit of a quieter week, but they have sold Jack Watmore to Huddersfield. Another brilliant move from Huddersfield, and I truly think Huddersfield squad-wise are very, very strong and could be considered one of the favourites getting out of League One just based on the business they've done alone, and they needed to because Huddersfield's season last season was way below par. So I'm pleased for them that they really are starting to really tighten their grip of being a challenging League One team. So good on Huddersfield. I wish them luck for the rest of the season. Couple more ingoings. Southampton. They were rumoured to get Damien Downs, the American, and they got him. An undisclosed fee from FC Cologne. Really excited. I'm really quite, chuffed to see these acquisitions going in. And the variety of markets. You're seeing Ipswich going for the French League. You're seeing Blackburn going to the Belgian Pro League. And then you're going for Southampton going for 2 acquisitions now from the Bundesliga. So I'm really glad that the reach of these clubs is really going to make me feel exposed in a way to footballers from leagues that I don't pay too much attention to. And I think Damien Downs is a pretty exciting player. I'm very excited to see how he goes on. Sheffield Wednesday, we spoke about the negative, but also a bit of optimism about their situation with Danny Rowe and the ownership. But it is to be expected. Players are leaving, and the latest one is Anthony Musaba. He has left to join Samanspor from Turkey on an undisclosed fee. Stoke City have made some signings this past week. Divin Mubamba, he is from the Manchester City youth team, a loan transfer from the Manchester City under-21s as centre forward. So I could see him being a rotated player in that forward position, and I hope he has a good breakout season. The one transfer though that really does intrigue me is Aaron Cresswell. He has left West Ham, of course. He's 35, so his age tells you one thing. He's probably not going to have too many years left. And I think dropping down to the Championship would be a good way to match his level, because he's not really going to have the pace that he used to have. And personally, what will be a huge benefit for Stoke is his experience. And I think certainly offering that winning mentality and that experience could be something that Stoke have been missing for all this time. And for one thing, I have remembered when they were relegated from the Premier League, they had their main core dissembled by other clubs picking their players apart and didn't really have any major leaders to lead them through the rough that they had in their first couple of seasons. They still have not had a top half finish since going down. And I truly think some of the businesses they've made so far, they could try and go for a top half finish this time. I really do believe in Stoke at the moment. And for Watford's point of view, this is the last ingoing this past week of Main Mama. So he's 19 years old from Montpellier from the French League on an undisclosed fee. So one that I don't know too much about, but again, I'm really excited to see how he gets on. So those are all the ingoings and outgoings that I recall. If I have missed anyone from this video or any of my other videos, let me know in the comments down below and I'll include them in my next video. Okay, well that wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is 1:10 in the morning, so I'm going to try and edit this as soon as I can before I fall asleep. If you guys enjoyed, please smash the like button, it really does help. Subscribe too, it really does help, and please also share the channel too. All of those things are free to do and it really help. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw any of this video, and as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care everyone.